The agenda for us. Colleagues, this morning, before opening the meeting and doing a few brief remarks, just to go through what we will consider today. Firstly, it's regarding the deliberations on the National Assembly resolution to investigate crime in the Mooiplaas-area and the way forward. SAPS will lead us in a presentation regarding that in preparation of such a visit and oversight process. After that, it would be the consideration and possible adoption of annual reports for the Private Security Regulatory Authority, PSIRA, the DNA board, and the DPCI judge. Then after that, we will be briefed by Nicolette regarding the gang violence inquiry terms of reference and the possible adoption thereof. We will obviously be able to then also engage in further discussion on all of those. So I will allow, after the relevant discussion points, that we allow sufficient time to continue with discussion and input from the members and whomever else is relevant for that specific point. May I ask whether we can move to adopt the agenda?
Thank you very much, Chair. It's Muzi Khoza. We adopt the agenda, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Khoza. Honourable Barnard.
I second that, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Barnard. The agenda is then adopted as is. Babalwa, do we have any apologies for today?
Yes, Chair, we do have the apologies. I received the apology from the Minister. He will not be able to attend due to a family health emergency. Honorable Chabane will be attending the national launch of the 2026 local government elections. DM Boshielo is requesting to leave the meeting early at 11:10, and GM Matale will not be able to attend the meeting. He is leading the department in the select committee in the NCOP. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Babalwa. I see the hand of the Honourable Reverend Meshwe. Reverend.
Good morning, Chairperson and all members. I'm participating in the debate that starts at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to ask to be excused a few minutes before 10.
No problem. Thank you, Honourable Meshwe. That's no problem. Honourable Barnard.
Thank you. Honourable Breitenbach is in a meeting, but hopes to join later. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Honourable Barnard. Thank you, Babalwa, for the flighting of the agenda and for the apologies. We understand that. I've also received a message early this morning from the National Commissioner that they are on their way to Cape Town for the visit of the Deputy President to parts of the Cape Flats specifically. She indicated that from the South African Police Service point of view, that General Sentumule as well as General Ntumbeni will lead the relevant presentation from SAPS. And obviously, I will give the Deputy Minister of Police, DM Boshielo, an opportunity to also indicate or make the relevant introductory remarks when we start with those presentation. So colleagues, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of additional opening remarks. I think we've got more than enough on the agenda for today. So I would like to immediately hand over to DM Boshielo to introduce the South African Police Service team responsible for the presentation on the Mooiplaas crime issue. And we will then be able to deliberate, make input from there. Please understand that this is just an introduction. We will continue with the formal oversight process, This is just to give us a briefing on what the situation is, and we will obviously approach it accordingly. Diemboshelo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to honorable members and new Chairperson. I haven't seen you for a long time. And also our colleagues on the platform. I raised my hand earlier, but I was kicked off and had to come in. I want to attend the apology of DM Matali. He's attending the select committee presenting the budget there. And also the minister is not in, and he's got some other things to do. So I'm with General Sintumule and PC Mtombeni from Gauteng. He's the one who's going to do the presentation. And I think General Sintumule can introduce other members who are with us. Thank you very much, Chair.
General Sentimule, you're welcome to continue. Sorry, General, before you begin, Honorable Skosana, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair. You know, it's very unfortunate that today both the acting minister and the acting national commissioner are not here. You know, perhaps with your benevolence, we will go on with everything. But normally, I think we said in one meeting that we will do what we did last time when the members, in particular the national commissioner, and when the minister is not there. But for your benevolence, we can continue with the meeting. But indeed, we'll really welcome them. You know, you welcome them on, you know, for us on our behalf. But really, we can do better because this meeting was said not yet.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana. Honorable Koza.
Thank you, Chair.
No problem, Honorable Skosana.
Did you hear me, Chair?
Yes, I heard you, Honorable Skosana. I heard you. Thank you.
Sure,
Honorable
thank you.
Koza, I see your hand is up.
No, good morning, Chair, and honorable members and the sub-senior management together with the Deputy Minister, Dr. Bushiel. Firstly, Chair, let us register the apology from our member, Honorable Leanne Matthys, who won't make it due to other commitments, but I'm available today. So we want to also, Chair, take this opportunity to thank the Portfolio Committee for at least giving this matter a hearing. But I'm raising here, Chair, a serious concern about the manner in which this matter is being handled, and perhaps propose a different approach. Chairperson, the motion on page 7.7 clearly states that the Portfolio Committee must conduct an oversight visit, not just oversight, but an oversight visit, Chair. I want to plead with you, Chairperson, that we reconsider how we're approaching this matter. Based on our researchers' report, it is clear that crime, as alluded in this motion, is rapidly increasing regardless of the subs, regardless of what subs may tell us today, as we are about to give them the platform. On report of the reported 112 murders in the previous financial year, 86 were in Mooiplaas. This is a serious murder hotspot for such a small area, Chair. Now, our proposal is that we do as the motion says. Let us go to Mooiplaas as the committee. Let us engage residents of Mooiplaas and then come back and sit with subs. We can even listen to subs there in Mooiplaas if our outreach committee can assist us in the preparation of that oversight visit. But let us not treat this matter as a desktop exercise when the motion agreed to by the House is very specific. We must go to Mooiplaas. Let us do exactly that, Chairperson. We have enough background information and we stand ready to share the contact details of concerned community members who raised these matters. We also want to say, Chairperson, that such numbers, especially those of 2025, even look suspicious, and it appears there may be an effort to hide evidence of extreme level of murder cases. And lastly, Chair, this is another problem we have with the South African Police Service. Handling crime statistics without any independent oversight is what they usually do. So, Chair, I want to propose that we don't do the backward process, but we do as advised by the House, that we go and do oversight, get to experience what are the real issues on the ground. Subs, obviously, they will tell us one and the same thing that we know. Chairperson, can we please guide on that proposal? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Khoza. I don't know if it may have been the signal earlier this morning, but I very, very clearly said this is a pre-briefing before we would conduct the necessary visit
My hand is
to
up,
Mooiplaas.
Can you
I'm
see
gonna
my
come
hand
to you.
up?
Yes, Honorable Muela, but I'm speaking. I'll come to you now.
Yes.
Honorable Khoza, so we will definitely do the visit. I'm not sure where you got the idea that we won't do the visit. I explicitly stated this morning that this is a pre-briefing of crime in the area to give us the rest of the committee a little bit more of an idea. We will then conduct the necessary visit to find out for ourselves, and we can continue to deliberate not only there, but even afterwards. So we will certainly not have a desktop exercise. If I could personally have my say, I prefer that we even have some of these committee meetings in communities where we have these challenges, but logistically that's not always possible. So Honorable Khoza, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, this is just a pre-briefing. The visit will absolutely be conducted. This is simply the start of a process. Honorable Muela?
No, thanks, Chair. I'm happy about it. We can proceed. Thanks.
No, Chair. I think you stepped exactly where I wanted clarity on, because we have not started with the meeting. Before because we are just going to get briefing, and from there we'll determine. I think the issue of oversight is upon us as the committee to agree to go there. It's not a matter of this meeting deciding, but us as the committee must be the ones who decide, because the motion is very clear of what is required of us. And this is the briefing. From there we'll determine a way forward so that we can visit a place, have a physical touch of what the issues are, so that we redeem those particular issues. So I was saying, let's go straight to the briefings, and we'll have deliberations, and we'll then map a way forward, because we've got a manner of just keeping issues before we can even get to the real debriefing of the matters. Let's go straight to the briefings, and when we get to the briefings, and then we'll have deliberation, we'll then have discussions and have a way forward on how we're going to handle this particular matter. That was my issue, Chair. But we have clarified it very well, and I'm happy that also Honorable Khoza also accepted that. Let's allow the presentation so that we can have deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Muela and Honorable Khoza. I just want to give just one last opportunity to the Honorable Shongwe. I see, Honorable Shongwe, your hand is up.
Morning, Chair. Morning to our colleagues. Morning to the officials. You've clarified the matter, Chair. I wanted to come in on that matter, but I would just throw a suggestion there. I think I second Honorable Khoza in this regard, that we would have had the chance to get the briefing on site if we was maybe interested in getting the matter on the right path. But I understand your clarification on this matter. But I think if we can, as soon as we can, we must do this oversight visit physically. A lot of that in the SAPS are being I stand corrected, but some of the facts that we get are not as true reflection of what we see on the ground. However, I will just wait until we get debriefed. But it would have been perfect if this matter would have been briefed to us on site, so that we can match stats to what we see. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe. Before I hand over to General Sentimule, colleagues, I just want to clarify, this is not an abnormal way of doing it. We discuss the resolution, we get some sort of a briefing for the committee in a committee meeting. Then we do the oversight visit. At the oversight visit, we not only engage the relevant provincial, even district leadership of the South African Police Service. If SAP sees fit, there could be national leadership, even the deputy minister or the minister. And we then engage station level police as well, along with the community, and we get the relevant briefing there. So we are following it exactly according to the book. And I will ensure that the process runs accordingly along with the team. Luckily, I've got Babalwa and Nicolette that are very, very strict to make sure we do everything according to the book. So I'm very careful of the two of them. And I know DM Boshielo is also very strict to ensure that we do things the right way. So we will ensure that it happens correctly. I would, with that, then like to hand over to General Sentimule. General, if you would like to then lead us in the SAPS presentation along with General Mtubeni, and we can take it from there and engage. Thank you, General.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to the Honorable Chair, honorable members of the committee, the Deputy Ministers, Dr. Bashir and Deputy Minister Matale, to all the generals on the platform. Chairperson, without wasting much time, I'm going to ask General Mthombeni to take us through the report as requested by Portfolio Committee. And this report will cover the investigation of crime in the Mooiplaas-area, and also it will touch on the resources that they have in terms of physical resources and human capacity, as well as challenges that the station has, or actually the district has. Without wasting much time, General Mthombeni, you are on the floor. Thank you, Chair. I'll hand over.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. I hope I'm audible.
You are audible, General. I just want to make one suggestion that whomever is flighting the presentation, if they can just put it on presentation mode, then we can have a full screen of the presentation. And you're welcome to continue. Thank you, General, and welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. We are doing that, and greetings to the honorable members of Parliament. Greetings to the DM Bushielwa and Lieutenant General Sentimule, who is the acting Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection. With me, Honorable Chair, honorable members, I'm with the District Commissioner of Tshwane, who's Major General Tine, and Brigadier Bender, who's from our organizational development in the province, as well as the station commander for Erasmia, Lieutenant Colonel Madonse. Without a waste of time, we'll make a presentation of this investigative crime in Mooiplaas as a briefing. The first slide, I will not dwell too much onto it because I understand I have to work through a 20 minutes time. The presentation overview covers those topics, purpose of the presentation, and lastly, recommendation. We are, of course, for the purpose of this presentation, presenting before the Portfolio Committee on Police for this Erasmia police station in respect of the resolution of the National Assembly for the efforts of fight against crime in Mooiplaas informal settlement within Erasmia Policing Precinct. That slide, Chairperson, is just a reflection in terms of the station overview, a present map with 3 sectors. The next slide, it's the demographic of the police station, of which it is the station area, which covers 211 square meters. One will ask, why is it so? Because it's an urban-rural mix, which is having some plots. In terms of the position within the province down there, it is on position 128 out of 145, of which it is not amongst the national top 30 police stations, though we having quite a number of them within the province, but Erasmia is down there at 128. The next slide, I will just only make a reflection of Sector 2. As I have indicated, the station is having 3 sectors. Sector 2, the sector manager there is Warrant Officer Venter. This covers the area of concern, Mooiplaas informal settlement, which covers Geraldsville, Knopislaagte, Henops River, and Racheleta, of which it has those block numbering in terms of registering the case docket. Then we'll move to the next slide, which we depict the station profile infrastructure there. You could see there the schools is 6. I'll just jump to the churches, 7. On consumption, which is a liquor outlet, is 7. Of consumption, which is like a bottle store, is 1. We have also reflected 18 of the number of illegal liquor outlets, of which we have since closed, or it has been closed, of which we're monitoring from time to time in terms of those areas. The Spaza shop is 73. And I will just move to the next slide. The next slide is the station profile stakeholders in terms of collaborations, which is also part of the whole government approach. I'll just make a reflection of the stakeholders, the area of collaboration. I will not really reflect thereof. We're having community policing from Department of Education, Security, companies, and the list goes on there. Underneath is emergency medical service. When we go to the next slide, we are still covering like Department of Correctional Service, Department of Labor, Tshwane Metro Police Department. We're also reflecting the human resource within that policing precinct, of which on the main for visibility and prevention of crime, visible policing, we're having 116.67% in terms of staffing. Detectives is 100%, support service is 61.9%, of which in terms of the staffing is 98.72%. We're having within that station allocated the trainees, and these trainees, 2 of them, of which they have to do the workplace exposure and the logbooks. The next slide, it is about the human resource. For force multipliers, we reflecting that in that policing prison to having 6 security companies with a total of 2,836 vehicles, which is helping thereof. The Metro Police is 2 vehicles, but yeah, I have just to indicate that this is a ward-based shift. In other words, during the day, they post 4 members, 2 vehicle, night, 4 members, 2 vehicles. The national traffic, those are the numbers. Provincial traffic, those are 2 to 1, and community policing forum and community in blue, those are the numbers. The station vehicle fleet, we are reflecting in terms of percentages there. Visible policing, it's 100%, detective 66, support services 100, a total of 89%. Next slide, it's the also vehicle fleet, which we indicate the type of vehicles there. The majority is sedan, hatchbacks, minibus, LDV, which is 19. We're having 1 motorcycle, which assists them in terms of patrol on the farms. Then the next slide, it's also a reflection as to say new vehicle allocation, the financial 2025-26, we allocated 2 vehicles, of which for this financial year, we'll also have a look as to say how many vehicles will we put across the province, including that station. Next slide is the 17 community reported serious crimes. In this slide, the presentation is subdivided into the subcategories for the crimes, of which I'll just reflect the headings thereof. On my far left-hand side is a contact crimes. The contact crimes includes those crimes there, contact-related arson, and the MI2P property-related include those crimes. Other serious crimes includes like your commercial and shoplifting. There on the far right, we're just reflecting that the crimes are dependent on police action for detection. In this case, we are expecting that there has to be increase, unlike the other categories there. For example, illegal possession of firearms or drugs related, we want that we're expecting that it has to be on increase. The next slide is crime overview, which is for Q4 2025-2026. This is part of the crime statistics released by the minister on Friday last week. We'll just focus on the rates in terms of this quarter, of which sexual offenses, we had 6 crimes on increase. We had assault with intent. We had assault common increase on a 3. We're having a rape, attempted sexual offenses, and contact sexual offenses, which is 411. We're having the robbery at residential increased by 3. We're moving to the MI2P and the contact-related crimes there increased by 44. We have burglary residential premises increased by 9. We're having a theft out of motor vehicles, stop theft, and overall crime for property related is 3, 3, and 10. And the last one is the overall 17 community reported crimes. We have seen only 1 crime there out of that total crimes. Then we move to the next slide. This slide is causative factors on Q4 on the main matters, as matters it is a concern. There we're making a reflection that the men for 18 years and above, we had 6 of those cases, of which we're reflecting that it's unknown because nothing was taken in terms of this commission of crime, or the really cause of death we could not determine. The next slide is just reflection in terms of a crime pattern analysis, that when we look on this reflection, most of the crimes is committed on Sunday and Saturday. You can see on the left-hand side, for Sunday is between 12 o'clock midnight and 3 o'clock, followed by 1500 hours to 1800 hours, of which is a total of 2 crimes. Same applies to on a Saturday. This also makes a determination in terms of deployment when we have to do the deployment. Then the next slide, this one I'll also crime hotspots for Q4 will also reflect on sector 1, which is Mooiplaas informal settlement, which includes Sutherland Ridge, which is industrial, and Erasmia. Those are the problematic crimes which the community experienced there, the burglary, residential house robbery, and the list goes up until down there. Then the next slide is about the SAP6. The SAP6 for that quarter will concentrate on the totals, Honorable Chair, where that column 1 reported crimes, we could see that the crimes in Erasmia per month ranges from 60 to 100, of which it gives us a total of 246. The cases under investigation 448. Then to court there, we have picked it up when we're doing the dry run after we have submitted these to the head office and the portfolio committee that the arithmetic calculations there is not correct. There is supposed to be 71 when we add the numbers. Withdrawn before court as well there, it's 98. When we add the numbers, undetected, also 36, but unfounded, that column is correct under investigation 369. We'll move to the next slide. The next slide, it's previous at court, we see 535 and then guilty 6, withdrawn at court 41, settled otherwise 4, and not finalized in court 353. We also move forward on a specific crime of which we zoomed into a matter as a matter is a concern. Reported for the quarter is 6 of which are brought forward in terms of other case docket which are still under investigation 62 to court 1, undetected 10. Then we have seen under investigation 61. Furthermore, in terms of previous at court is 6, guilty 1, and those numbers they are repeating as they are there on the upper table. We further have made a reflection of the status of the case docket per crime on the fourth quarter, of which is making under investigation 62 to court 1 and close undetected 10. This next slide, it's also status of the suspect arrested for the murders, which stand at the number of victims 6, arrest 1, and then on bail 1. And I'll move to the next slide, which is slide number 30. Slide number 30, this is the application of the whole government approach. The heading there is Integrated Crime and Violence Prevention Strategy, which is known as ICVPS, with the 6 pillars of the whole government approach. I'll just concentrate on that diagram there on the middle of it. On the middle of it, you could see that there's effective criminal justice system there. We are collaborating with Justice Correctional Service in terms of dealing with the issues. Early intervention to prevent, we link up with Social Development, Department of Education, victim support. All the stations within the province, they are having a victim support friendly center. Effective integrated service delivery. Here is a reflection on which we are doing integration with your Metro Police, with your Gauteng Traffic Police, and RTMC. The issue of safety through environmental design is where we're looking on the environmental design within the policing precinct, the roads, the long grass, and active public participation or CPF, security industry, of which at the end of the day, when you look on that rate, the principle of this whole government approach is for equal access to service protection, commitment to a high quality service, integrated and evidence-based planning and implementation. Then on going details into these pillars, I'll just make a reflection that on quarter 4, we have seen 69 suspects were. We have seen that there were 2 convictions on that quarter. We have also ensured that justice is served for all citizens in that specific policing precinct. Then we go to Pillar 2. Pillar 2, I'll just make a reflection on the programs like Adopt a Cop program. As I've indicated that Department of Education, we have since done 5 of the programs. We have since done 3 dialogues, which were held with the interaction of 4,500 learners. School searches 1 conducted during that quarter. Pillar 3 is a victim support, as I've indicated that when we look down there, there's a functional gender-based violence desk, there's a victim empowerment program, first responders, and number 4, which is effective integrated. I've indicated that with this annual operational plan, which is implemented within the station, when we go to the next slide, we could see the different government departments which are which we integrate and work with them there. Then underneath there, we are also showing that we are also having 31 registered informers within the station. When we're taking the briefing, they got and added to, which complies with the national instruction of 3:1. One investigating officer, 3 informers. Then we move to the safety through environmental design there. In this one, we interact with the local authority. Like 2 weeks back, I was in Hammanskraal with the executive mayor, with the MMC. We have deliberated in terms of the IBEC, which is an integrated law enforcement committee, which is led by the councillors there for poor road infrastructure, poor lighting, and overgrown vegetation. Then number 6, active public participation. I think I've made a reflection there in terms of CPF and the security. 3 meetings were held, 3 sector forums, 2 other community stakeholders were held. The station had 40 community patrollers deployed within that space. The next slide is what was a concern from Parliament, members of the SAPS owning rental houses in Mooiplaas. The concern raised by the community to the committee that several members stationed at Erasmia own rental properties in Mooiplaas, and as a result spend significant time and resources attending to their private businesses' interests in the area instead of performing their policing duties. The station commander have been sanctioned, conducted investigation into the matter, and found no evidence that any member of Erasmia owns properties in Mooiplaas. In light of the seriousness of this allegation, all members of Erasmia were required to complete and sign declaration forms disclosing any property ownership in Mooiplaas. These signed declarations are kept on file with the respective members' personal records. Then further than that, here underneath, we are just reflecting on the occurrence of serious crimes in Mooiplaas, where we have done a comparative analysis undertaken to assess and indicate the matters in Mooiplaas. We have further identified those risks of which the risk are mitigated in terms of the operations. As you can see there, we deploy tactical teams, Metro Police, K9. I must indicate that even myself as a provincial commissioner, I was in Erasmia, I think twice, on Thursday and Saturday night, as we could drive through that area and do the policing. Then the next slide is the occurrence of serious crimes in Mooiplaas. And here we are focusing on the matters as the matters is a concern. We have taken it for 6-year period. The first period there is 2020, 2021, of which out of 14 crimes there, there's 8, and then the following one, 15, 13, 19, 14, 22, 18, 20, 16, 22, 17, 112 out of 86, as one of the honorable members have made a reflection. We have further taken 4 quarters for 2024, of which that reflects 4.4, a slightly decreased quarter 2, 5.4, a decrease 3, 5.2, and stabilize in quarter 4, 6.6. Then the 2025, we have seen quarter 1, 8.6, 6.4 decrease, 4.3 slightly decrease, quarter 4, 5.4 slightly decrease. The slide which follows depicts what I have explained there above. And the other thing is a concern for occurrence of serious crimes in Mooiplaas. What is the actions which we have taken? Successes were recorded during 2025-2026 financial year with murders 3, attempted murders 8, and then so goes the numbers. The highest numbers is the liquor-related 79 with undocumented 316 for that financial, which gives us a total of 502. Then we also have made some confiscation here. The drugs, you can see there's 11,846.97, firearms 26. This 26 includes also where arrest was not made, if one can ask why we're having 11 there on top. With ammunition, liquor in milliliters, 2,572,005. Then additional service point, which is key in terms of this presentation. The request for the assignment originated from oral question in Parliament number 942, which sought a clarity on whether the South African Police Service intend to establish a satellite police station in Mooiplaas within the Erasmia policing precinct. The organizational development, I directed, they conduct the study there, which clearly came out that there has to be a mobile community service center, of which the provincial commissioner, which is myself, have approved thereof in terms of that mobile community service center on the 28th of April 2026. But further than that, as a province, we have from the baseline of our budget, we have set up the money to purchase the mobile community service center for Mooiplaas through RT 57 as it is still in place. But currently, Oliver North Bosch, which is nearby, we had one of the mobile community service center which gets used thereof. Then towards the end, intervention to address these crimes, medicine, Mooiplaas, interventions there. We clearly reflected the implementation of range focus for the intervention. For example, weekly liquor compliance, high visibility patrol sectors, where community engagement remains a priority. When we move to the next slide, we also covering the business against crime there. We're covering also the IBEC. We're covering also the ongoing engagements with the councillor to advocate for infrastructure improvement in Mooiplaas, because when it's raining, there is a problem. Additional CCTV camera have been installed in a strategic location, which have been led by Department of Community Safety from Gauteng province. There, lastly, is the recommendations or challenges, which I would say lastly is the challenges which we have reflected there in terms, for example, high vegetations, which I've indicated that we integrate with the IBEC, the integrated community, integrated law enforcement community within that space, and as well as the other issues, for example, Gauteng traffic wardens, of which we're waiting for the training. Recommendations, clearly there on slide number 53, we have reflected this recommendation, but over and above that, there are meetings which are held in terms of this recommendation. We had a meeting on the 16th of May with the CPF and the ward councillor. The 12th, we had a meeting with a non-governmental organization, Kuluma Family Counseling. And then down there, economic development initiatives, last engagement was held there on the 6th in order to mitigate on those recommendations. Interdepartmental collaborations with the Tshwane Metropolitan Department of Home Affairs and PSIRA. We have seen that happening on the 15th in order to deal with the recommendations which we have put. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. I submit.
Thank you very much, General Sentimule.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And I must say that from the police, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to present the current crime picture, your crime trends, the challenges that are faced by Mooiplaas police station. Chairperson, at this point in time, I will hand over to you for the question session. Thank you.
Thank you, General Sentimule. Thank you, General Ntobeni, for the detailed presentation. Are there, before I ask whether there are questions, let me just remind the members again, remember this is just a pre-briefing. We are going to go there to Mooiplaas. We are going to do the visit. So if there are specific details that can wait for the actual oversight visit, please hold on to those. And if there are questions of clarity regarding this presentation, I will allow them now. For the sake of time, I'm only going to allow 3 minutes per member. We can go for another round if need be. I've noted, let me just make a list quickly. I've noted the Honorable Skosana, the Honorable Mokoena, Kola Barnard, Muela, and I will list the rest. Let's start with Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. I think, as you said, I think things are much simpler now that when we visit, there'll be more questions, on site, if there's any, because there's a lot of things which have developed in Mooiplaas. But for now, just want to really appreciate the presentation from the Provincial Commissioner General Tombeni. I don't think there's much, to interrogate for now, but I think it's very clear what he already articulated to us, that there's problems there which need to be sorted out for that community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana. Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you very much, Chair, and greetings to your good self and everyone on the platform. And let me take this opportunity and welcome the presentation. Chair, we have noted that the community has lack of confidence in the formal justice systems that often triggers this act of vigilantism. I just want to check if there is any joint operation plan with SAPS, Crime Intelligence, and Department of Home Affairs by the station to address this concern of this community, and also to regain trust of the Mooiplaas community if they continue to feel that their safety is compromised by the potential conflict of interest among officers. And again, to ensure victims are fully supported through the entire legal processes. What measures are being taken to address the challenge of GBV cases being withdrawn, while we note that the station has a functional victim-friendly facility? And the presentation note that Mooiplaas accounted for 76.7% of murder cases in Sector 1. Beyond high visibility patrols, what specific intelligence-driven strategies are being employed to address the root causes of these matters, such as the identified issue of vigilantism? How does the station plan to address this? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. I then go to the Honorable Kola Barnard.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I thought there was someone else before me. Yeah, I think I'd like to just head straight to what I see is a major issue between the residents and their opinion of the SAPS members. Now, I heard in the presentation said that there was a document that all members signed saying they were not involved in work, didn't own the properties, etc. So the claims were made. And of course, SAPS members are not prohibited from performing remunerative work outside the public service, but it must be within the correct regulations. Now, the public think one thing, the police are saying another thing. So have any SAPS members attached to the station been subjected to lifestyle audits or integrity testing, financial disclosure reviews, or anti-corruption investigations into the actual allegations arising from Mooiplaas? Because the locals believe this is going on, the police deny it's going on. So it needs an investigation patently. So should station management, perhaps anyone in the senior SAPS know or have prior knowledge of the alleged involvement of SAPS members in private rental or business activities within the area? And if so, what action was taken? And if someone is found subsequently through whistleblowers, perhaps, to have lied in that document? What will be the outcome? Because it's brewing, and I do know that rumors on the ground can be spread very quickly. But this has to be nipped in the bud. So I don't know that investigation is not necessary. And my second big one is reference to the indication that a feasibility study would be registered to assess the viability of establish an additional SAP service point in the area. Is there or is there not an additional service point in the area? I was told there might be. The minister doesn't think there is, and so it goes on. So is it ongoing? Has it been delayed? Has it been completed? What is the situation with that feasibility study? Because it's patently something that is needed quite dramatically. I think that's sufficient for me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Carla Barnard. Honorable Muela.
Thank you very much, Chair, and greetings to DM Dr. Bushielo, General Sintumule, and also Provincial Commissioner Mtombeni. I think the issue of informal settlement, Chair, it's a big problem in general across the country. It's something that for us to be reactive on the measures being mandated by the problems that are emanating from this problem, we need to adopt a proactive strategy. I mean, the SAPS must have that proactive national strategy to be able to keep this particular occurrence of informal settlement in all areas, in collaborations with the municipality and so forth and so forth, because that's where most of the problems comes from. But because I've got few minutes, Chair, to make a preamble on this particular matter, let me just go straight to my questions. Since all Erasmia SAPS members were required to sign declarations regarding property ownership in Mooiplaas, what mechanism is in place, Chair, to independently verify the accuracy of these declarations, given the serious nature of the allegations that are there? Can the station provide statistics on how many members declared property ownership in the precinct, and what specific steps were taken to ensure that declaration forms are not merely pro forma but accurately reflect the situation on the ground? While the presentation lists meta statistics, what is the primary drivers analysis for the recent violent matters mentioned in the resolution? For example, are these linked to land disputes, intergroup conflict, or criminal networks that are found in this particular informal area of Mooiplaas? And lastly, Chair, I want to check, because when the presentation was made here, they've indicated very much that the proactive measures that the Mooiplaas precinct or station is applying to make sure that there is proper patrolling across the area of informal settlement, which is very, very, very impossible to actually undergo such particular matters. It is indicated that most of the vehicles that are on the ground, most particularly, are private sector vehicles. What actually are the numbers of vehicles that are assisting the stations to be able to do the work of patrolling and proactive policing in the particular area of Mooiplaas? Thank you very much, Chair. I think my time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Muela. I then go to the Honorable Schikkeling.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. My apologies for my camera being off. The signal is quite bad here where I am. Chair, you know, it's concerning when you listen to how the SAPS members are involved in corruption or alleged corruption. So there's something that I think we should look at across the country. But in light of the allegations that the SAPS members attached to the police station own rental properties in Mooiplaas and may have used state resources for private business, can we please be informed if disciplinary action and investigation has been launched, and if they've been held accountable if there has been such information found to be true? Chair, and then, I mean, we've continued not to establish a permanent and fully operational police service in Mooiplaas. And I mean, we can see for ourselves that the murders are increasing from 14 to 26 in the first 3 quarters of 2025, 2026. There's been an increase in carjackings, kidnappings, aggravated robberies. So why have we not built a permanent structure? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. We obviously know that there's an issue there. So why are we not addressing it? It's not going to go away. And the police are very aware that it's not going to go away. If the SAPs have claimed to intensify their operations, why is violent crime and murder going up? Surely there's a problem. So what measurable evidence have they got that their interventions are taking place and making the residents feel safer? Because to me, it just feels like the residents are expected to trust and cooperate with the police, but these allegations persist. And there are police officers that are financially benefiting. So how does the police correlate this? How can they tell us that they're trying to do something if the murder is increasing? Then there's a problem and there needs to be an alternative intervention. And I would like to know if there are other plans on the table, please. And then within 2 months, we know that 8 residents have been murdered there. And they continue to live without adequate policing, basic services. How does the SAPS just accept this? So my question to them is then, have they decided then they will just abandon this community? And I think it is something that we will also pick up then when we do our oversight visit. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkeling. I then go to the Honourable James. Honourable James.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies, my signal isn't too strong this morning. Good morning, everyone. I want to ask, with there being so many allegations of corrupt SAPS members, where is counterintelligence in all of this? When we visit this community, Chair, can I ask that counterintelligence is actually part of the delegation that goes out to the community, and that the provincial commissioner actually appoints members to the station so that we can investigate all these allegations. Then also there was a slide on stakeholders, the partners of the station. We also want to know, we often see that these are the stakeholders working with the police station, but there's never a real participation from these stakeholders. Also, at our visit, when we visit this community, can we also see the records of all these stakeholders and what their level of participation is and what they have committed to? Then also the drug-related crime. I want to ask, what is that? Because I've mentioned this in previous meetings. Drug-related crime, heading it like that, tells us absolutely nothing. Can I ask once again that we break that down, that we can show what is possession and what is dealing? I also see there 28 arrests have been made. Are those arrests for dealing or are they for possession? Also, I see the numbers on the murder cases. What can also be frustrating to communities is the fact that we have so many murder cases, but we never have thorough investigations. What is the progress on these murder cases? And then also, I hear again about a mobile community service center. Has this been costed? Because sometimes we find that these mobile community service centers, and it's literally just a box. There's absolutely no operational tools in these centers. I leave it at that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable James. I then go to the Honourable Reverend Meshwe.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, and greetings to all officials and members on the platform. My first question has to do with human resources. I realize that obviously the police are by far outnumbered by the number of private security members. So my question is, with crime escalating, is the SAPS collaborating with security companies and taking advantage of their numbers, or how do they take advantage of the numbers of security company personnel in the area? And looking at the number of vehicles also, they have plus minus 36 vehicles, these private security companies, and the police vehicles are under 20. Now, how do the police patrol their areas with almost no vehicles at all? Are they succeeding with foot patrols, or how are they succeeding in patrolling the areas? And without patrolling the areas, obviously, we cannot expect them to be successful in combating crime. And my second question has to do with the concerns in the area. In slide 43, the police speak about the successes that were recorded during a financial year. Now, my question is, after arresting undocumented persons to the number of 316, how do they measure success? Is the success arresting them? And as you know, in many cases, you arrest a person, but within the day or 2 days, they're back in the street. How do they balance talking about success when people they've arrested are back in the streets? So particularly, as we know that right now there are a number of complaints on the African continent about how foreign nationals are treated in South Africa. So these undocumented persons, what do the police do with them to ensure that they are not back in the streets the next day? Where do they keep them? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Reverend Meshwe. I then go to the Honorable Shongwe. Honorable Shongwe, can you hear me?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for my delay. No, Chair, I was covered by the members, my colleagues. So I would just stand down. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe. I then hand over to the Honorable Khoza.
Thank you very much, Chair. I want to firstly clarify something, Chair, which was raised by this ANC member who said nothing here, claiming that the committee will determine whether it's necessary for us to do an oversight or not. That's out of line. We are instructed here as a committee. We can't decide otherwise. So that member that just raised here and said nothing, Chair, must be corrected. We need to go and do oversight as mandated by the National Assembly. Chair, to quickly come in, in fact, I was partly covered by Honorable Connor Barnard and Honorable Schickling. In which way? The community says this. Obviously, SAPS will always tell their own different story. Chair, that's why earlier on, I've raised the point that it's necessary for us to go there, then we can come and ask SAPS based on the lived realities that we've managed to experience in engaging our people. So I'm saying now, Chair, to support that, this presentation is out of touch, it's out of reality. It doesn't even express anything closer to what our people are experiencing in Mooiplaas. Unfortunately or fortunately enough, we live there, we went there, we know what our people are dealing with. This thing of cameras is not true. There is no camera that is working in Mooiplaas, even installed. It's a pure lie. It must be registered in this meeting. SAPS continuously lie, and it must come to an end, Chair. If I may just pose a few questions, which I don't even expect any positive response, because surely they are out of touch with reality. Chair, let us establish if whether they've investigated, whether there are SAPS members who have rooms for rental in the area or spaza shops, including illegal bottle store. And secondly, we want to establish if the South African police have checked the deeds office SARS and assessed bank statement to check if no members are not living beyond their means. And lastly, Chair, we must also emphasize on this private security question that was raised here. Private security members are high because of deployment of security in factories, but that has nothing to do with people living in Mooiplaas, but businesses protecting their interest and infrastructure. Let's focus on the lives and which we are losing every day, which people are always experiencing a rape, murder, and all of those crime-related issues, and stop focusing on private security that have the interest of their own profits here, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Khoza. I then go to the Honorable Ghana.
Thanks very much, Chair. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. Chair, just a couple of things that I think can strengthen the presentation. One, especially on the matters, the current matters, a proper, let's say, bit of background and the status of each case goes a long way. That's number one. Secondly, the other thing that can strengthen this presentation, General Ntombela, is to then give light insofar as the, let's say, the cases where arrests have been made, what you call the alleged perpetrators have gone to court and bail has been given, and those ones that are currently on trial. I think that this kind of information assists even when you interact with the community, because sometimes it's when people feel like they don't know what's happening because there's no communication. One of the big issues as we keep raising with SAPS is just the ability to feedback when to the victims of crime, to say this is where the case is, this is the investigation is done, now the case it's in court, and then the magistrate has given this suspect bail. So that kind of an education aspect, when I listen to the presentation, I'm like, all right, this thing is lacking. If we were to go and have a session in Mooiplaas, then it's going to be a problematic one. We'll actually not derive much out of that because of the lack of the information. The second thing that I want to then raise, it will be important for us, Chair, when we go there, to also have the city of Tshwane in attendance, because there are issues that are for the police and there are the issues that are for the municipality. Amongst the issues around just the living conditions, but also who actually stays there and who owns what there, because what you have, especially in informal settlement, in 10 seconds, is that there's no no one has got an address, there's no title deed, there's nothing. And people, you'll find that majority of the people that actually stay there, they are actually renting the shacks they are staying in. They are not owning those shacks. And to find these, let's call it, these groupings that own those particular shacks goes a long way in understanding and unpacking the nature of crime. And it will be interesting to understand maybe the point that Honorable James raises about counterintelligence. If you were to even do this from the 73 spaza shops, you do a spot checking in terms of who actually owns the properties where these spaza shops are established. That will start putting light insofar as the crime situation, because you won't solve the crimes until you understand who owns what there, because all those 73 spaza shops, I can bet my last cent they are not owned like the either the shack or the thing is not owned by the person renting it out. I mean, the person that's actually selling there. Someone else is owning that piece of structure, and getting to know who they are goes a long way in solving most of these crimes that are happening there. I think we need to do this a lot more intensely so that it informs not only for Mooiplaas, but the other informal settlement, whether it's Zanspruit, whether it's Honeydew, or in Cape Town and so forth. So we must do this as a test case, Chairperson. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Ghana. Honorable Dereko.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to the members and also greetings to the DM and the team. Chair, let me also welcome the presentation that has been made by the department. And I believe that when we go for a physical oversight, we'll then witness what they have presented to us. And we'll also be able to see some of the things that they have just presented to us. And Chair, also, I don't have a question, but I also want to add up on what the department has presented, that I believe that it would be important if we could get a report from the SAPS with regard to their relations with the local municipality in combating crime. Because we know that crime in an informal settlement is very high and sometimes it becomes difficult to manage it, which is the reason why I believe that it will be important for SAPS to work together with the communities and municipality, especially in areas where the spatial planning was not properly implemented. Then it then becomes a problem because you don't know what is happening in that particular environment. You don't have a profiling of that particular environment. And which then goes to the importance of the district development plan, where all relevant departments need to work together in ensuring that our people are living in a conducive environment. So, Chair, on the issue of undocumented people, I then want to check with the department that what is their relationship with the Department of Home Affairs in addressing this matter? And also on the side of municipality where you have SMMEs, is municipality in that particular area advancing their bylaws? And if they do, what are the challenges of the municipality with regard to that matter? And what then becomes the role of SAPS in ensuring that there's peace and stability in that particular area? So I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dereko. General Sentimune, if I may hand over to you to facilitate response.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Chairperson. The acting National Commissioner has joined, so I am going to hand over to her to facilitate the question and answer, the answer session. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General Sentimule. General Dimpane, welcome. Glad you were able to join us. You are more than welcome to facilitate response. Thank you, General.
Morning, the honorable members of the committee, the Deputy Minister. Chair, let me first start apologizing. We struggled with a bit of fog to learn. I profusely apologize. However, I have been in the meeting during the presentation. Chair, in terms of the planned visit, we can assure the committee that we will be ready to receive the committee and we will be able to present additional information that is being required. We will be there and we will facilitate and support the visit to that particular area. We can assure that neglected. The issue of mobile charge offices, this particular services to assist us to have more communities accessing services of the police. We do install this mobile charge office with the relevant equipment, and we will be supporting the provincial commissioner in terms of this particular issue that he has approved. we are able to know in terms of the costing. I think annually we plan around, or we put aside around about 50 million to ensure that we buy these mobile charge offices, and we support police stations that requires our access to communities in terms of these charge offices. So we do have the costing, and we do make provision at the national level, and we also support the provinces in this regard. When it comes to the members and the investigation that the PC had sanctioned, they were forced to then put disclosures to disclose indeed whether they own properties or they run businesses there. They have disclosed, then we can assure this committee that should any member to be found to have lied or given us incorrect information, steps will be taken. I think I will have a discussion with the provincial commissioner in terms of the next steps to strengthen this exercise that he has done in terms of investigation and forcing the members to disclose their business relationship within that area. But I will speak to the PC and we'll look into it at the national level in terms of what else can we do to strengthen. We do have our integrity unit that can be able to put in additional steps to ensure that we intensify this investigation, and indeed we assure the community that these allegations are proven to be otherwise. So I will have further discussions with the PC in this regard. The collaboration, we cannot be able to deal with issues of crime on our own. We emphasize with the provincial commissioners, even when we went through this report, I asked the PC to say, I need assurance that indeed you are collaborating, because you have to ensure that you have a stronger CPF and a stronger collaboration and conversations with the communities, and you bring them closer to ensure that we resolve these challenges as well as these allegations. So the CPF is functional, and there is also a need that we strengthen and we bring all the stakeholders. Issues of the municipalities, there are prof joints as well as net joints where we collaborate with different stakeholders, including Home Affairs, to deal with these issues of illegal immigrants and enforcing the laws that talks to these issues that are troubling us. So prof joints are functioning, net joints are functioning well when all these stakeholders do have these conversations and they blend together, including the operations and that unfolds and within those particular areas. So in terms of the operational questions, I would request the PC to touch on those questions. There are questions surrounding issues of drugs. He can elaborate in the investigations in this regard. But we can assure this committee that there is collaboration. There are issues that talks to issues of environmental designs, and the provincial commissioner, together with the stakeholders, including provincial government, they do engage on these conversations in an effort to find solutions in this regard. With your permission, Chair, I will hand over to the PC to deal with the questions that were asked in relation to operational matters. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General Dimpane. General Ntubeni, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, for the questions put to us. And thank you, Acting National Commissioner, and once more again, the Deputy Minister. The first question, joint operations, as it is from honorable member there, indeed, we have made a reflection of that on slide number 35, which is jointly with crime intelligence and Home Affairs. As and when we carry out the operations, we have to take cognizance of the information which we get from crime intelligence. And also the other slide which I've presented, which shows Sunday and Saturdays, most of the crimes are committed during that time. That source of information is the information which clearly indicates how is the operational activities has to unfold. The other thing is that we, from time to time, as we get the intelligence information, conduct section 13.7, which is cordon and search. And that section 13.7, we ensure that we have a specific address, as previously we had a challenge in court, and we make sure that we comply with the court requirements, and we carry out those operational activities. We have, since last year, September, we have conducted one within that area of the policing precinct. The Honorable Member, Colonel Barnard, we got the indication by the Honorable Member, the Acting National Commissioner, she have made a reflection that she will engage with me, the Provincial Commissioner, in terms of over and above what we have done on slide number 39, which clearly reflects the undertaking or the work which have been done by the station commander in terms of also ensuring that we have in those undertaking. We will, of course, subject the members for the lifestyle audit, and then I will make sure that I quickly engage with my provincial head crime intelligence. As yesterday, I was with him for the other matters, and we'll make sure that we deal with that particular aspect, which have been flagged by the honorable members. And the other thing, the raised by the Honorable Mooiplaas to say how many members are there in the police station, though we reflected the percentages on the presentation, but we can clearly indicate that we're having 75, of which over 50% of those members there are focused on visible policing, which are not less than 46, and the investigators not less than 17. So we have dealt with that to ensure that we provide the service to the community. The Acting National Commissioner answered these additional service points as we have made a reflection. The investigation was indeed sanctioned and conducted by organizational development. Maybe one other point which one has to re-emphasize. We know for the fact it is an informal settlement, that space. The history behind that area is that I would say the government was planning to relocate those people from that area to Olvenhout-Bosch, if I'm not mistaken, is extension 27, somewhere there. By then, I was the district commissioner in that space because that space itself, it is informal, and I understand that it's dolomitic, that area. So during that time, we had a process of a relocation. Some of the community members were relocated to Olvenhout-Bosch extension, but it's not all of them. So we have to take note of that process flow in terms of that area, that it is an informal, and one could not automatically, erect like the formal structure. Honorable Schickling, I think, is that a persisting of involvement of the members, which I have made a reflection. The Acting National Commissioner made an indication that the additional measures will be put in place in a form of a lifestyle audit. Honorable James, counterintelligence, will do that, Honorable Member James, there in terms of counterintelligence, appoint the counterintelligence to deal with that. I'll link up with my provincial head for crime intelligence, the Major General. The stakeholders to be invited, we got that one. Normally, when we're having these typical type of engagements, we make sure that we invite the stakeholders. The Community Service Center, just a box. One can assure the committee that based on what we procure is compatible. Maybe let me leave it on that one because, for example, is having a generator, is having a place for the stationery, if one may cite quite a few things in there. Honorable Mesho, in terms of human resource, one has to indicate that the staffing of a police station is based on the, one will say, scientific investigation in terms of the input sheets which determine how many members, how many vehicles should be there. And we take these input sheets, which take into consideration quite a number of issues. For example, the population within that space, if there's an influx of the communities taken into consideration, then we deal with the granted and the actual. So basically, those numbers which we have for the members of the South African Police Service is based on that scientific input sheets which we do on a year-to-year basis. But one must indicate that on the presentation, just that I cannot flag exactly which presentation. We have indicated in terms of the collaborations where we clearly indicate the Gauteng Traffic Police, your Metro Police. I've clearly indicated that the Metro Police is on what base? I said 4 members, 2 vehicles in addition. And the what base, it means during the day they post 4 members, 2 vehicles, and additional during the night. So that slide, we have made a reflection thereof. The issue of the security industry is just the collaborations which we have. And yes, of course, as you rightfully so, we're having 6 different companies in that space with a total of 2,800. But it does not mean this security industry do primary functions for the South African Police Service, because they do help in terms of prevention for the house robberies within the resident, those who might be affiliated to them. But on the other hand, as and when we are dealing with the crime along the highways, like your R55, which is along that specific area they do have. The illegal immigrants, we do have a very good relationship with the Department of Home Affairs, as we have made a reflection. I think it's on slide number 39, if I'm not mistaken there, where we are clearly indicating, not slide number 39, I think it's slide number 39, where we clearly, slide number? Yeah, but there's a slide which talks to the collaborations thereof. Yeah, it's slide number 35, where we clearly reflect on that pillar 4, improve a partnership policy. The Home Affairs, it is there. What normally happens when we're having this joint operation for that 316 arrest, these people get processed by the Department of Home Affairs to confirm whether they are legal or not legal, and then from there they issue the section 212 statements confirmation, and following court that we take them to court, and ultimately they are taken to Lindela for the process flow by Home Affairs for the repatriations. The issue of cameras by Honorable Khoza, the reflection we try to make is that on the entrance of Mooiplaas, there is the cameras which is put in there, which we can actually assist us in terms of a fight against crime, because obviously in that space, the infrastructure is not there in terms of the lighting system. The other issue I think the acting national commissioner have dealt with it in terms of the issue which we have to get deeper in terms of those members whom it is alleged they might be involved in a business there. But worth mentioning that deeds office, that place is informal settlement per se. I think Honorable Ghana touched on it, that it is quite difficult to have these the title deeds, because the area itself, it is informal and registered with the deeds office. It's another hurdle, and I think Honorable Ghana tried to make a reflection on that. Honorable Ghana, the breakdown of cases, we will of course do that in terms of case flow management. We will be in a position to can make that breakdown so that we can clearly reflect on those cases, and also to make a reflection whether these particular individuals who are arrested are out on bail or are in custody. City of Tshwane, we collaborate very well. As during the presentation I've indicated 2 weeks back, though it was not necessarily in Mooiplaas, I was in Temba. I was with the executive mayor during Shanyela operation. It was a night operation. The executive mayor, she was there. The MMC responsible for safety, he was also there with the chief of Metro. We worked together in that space, where they have also made a reflection of the IBEC, which I've spoken about it, which is an integrated law enforcement committee, which involves the councillors. So in terms of that one, we are really confident in terms of our collaborations with the city of Tshwane and also city of Johannesburg. 73 Spaza Shop, we got that one. We'll make sure that we deal with the ownership in terms of that. The last one, I think, is from Honorable Ireko, the local municipality relation. I think I've touched on that one. I've even cited the executive mayor, and she also made a reflection on a spatial planning, which might have not been done properly, as the area we know it is informal, and during rainy season that place is also difficult to can move around. The bylaws, we frequently deal with that with the city of Tshwane, as I've reflected that we're having a very good relationship with the city of Tshwane. With that, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, the Acting National Commissioner, the Deputy Minister, I submit.
Thank you, General Mtobeni. Just to double check, General Dampane, have you got any comments that you would like to make?
I think we have covered most of the questions, Chair. I wanted to hand over to General Sintumule on the issues that talks to the investigations, in particular on the matters. If there is anything that we have left out, she can come in, Chair.
Thank you, General. Please go ahead, General Sintumule, and then after General Sintumule, I'll go to DM Boshielo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. On the issue of murders, I wanted to give comfort to the committee by saying that we have a murder project with the prosecutors that General Mohale is currently leading, and we will look at the issue of the escalation of murders in that particular Mooiplaas-area. I think the specific sector as spoken about. And we will then recall all those dockets and then analyze them to see how we can assist the station in expediently dealing with those. I also wanted to touch on the issue of counterintelligence. General Mtobeni touched on it, but I also want to say that Gauteng province has a dedicated counterintelligence structure. And I think we all have witnessed or we have been privy to their work as evidence during the Madlanga Commission under the operational name GCI Ops. I think their role definitely in detecting, investigating, and neutralizing corruption has been lauded, and therefore just to say that we do have in Gauteng a very alive as well as committed counterintelligence structure. Thank you, Chairperson. I yield.
Thank you, Chair. We will take another round should there be questions that are still needed to be responded to from our side. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General Sentimule and General Tampane. DM Boshielo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. On the issue of the informal settlement, normally is the responsibility of the municipalities and also the province. I've seen the Premier of Gauteng together with MMC, they're trying to evict people who are not supposed to be in some building, and also in terms of the settlement, but they got a pushback from most of the communities, including people in that area. But I think we'll still help them to be able to deal with the matter. And in terms of the environmental design, where they've put the shacks such that, as P.S.M. Tombeni have said, you can't just move around. The issue of the police station, Chair, is a very emotional issue for us, because we are not responsible as subs to build the police station. We depend on public works, and it seems public works is not even prioritizing us in terms of what we do. So what we have suggested to Treasury is that they should let us go on with other entities like your IDT, DBSA, so that we are able to deal with these places where there's more people, and then the police station is just one. Like in Thohoyandou, where you have the highest rape in terms of the stats, they only have one police station and about 146 villages around it. So we know what we should do, but the problem is public works. They don't even try to prioritize us, but we'll still work with them. But we've made the proposal to Treasury. If they give it to us, we'll be able to get that information. And lastly, Chair, it should not only be Mooiplaas. I think you should also go to other areas so that you assist us, we assist each other. As you get information, we're able to prioritize and act. And I hope I'll join you in some of the visits as we go on. But I think we're starting on the right footing in terms of the Mooiplaas. We've got nothing to hide. You are our key main stakeholder, and we also account to you in terms of the oversight. So we'll be able to do that. But I'll appreciate if also other areas of concern can be taken so that we look at the matter holistically. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, DM. With that, colleagues, in terms of the response from the Deputy Minister, DM Boshielo, and the SAPS team, let me just check, are the members comfortable? We will engage further then when we do the actual oversight visit. I didn't see any additional hands. Colleagues, I think we are ready to complete or conclude this part of the agenda for today. We still have a considerable amount of work to go through. My suggestion would be, if the committee agrees, that we can release the relevant persons from SAPS specifically. I know there are other engagements, etc., later on today, as we then move over to the next point on the agenda, being the annual reports of PSIRA, the DNA board, and the office of the DPCI judge. Are the members comfortable if we move along and if we release the members of the South African Police Service?
We agree, Chair.
Perfect. Thank
That's
you.
fine, Chair.
Thank you, colleagues. With that, DM Boshelo, thank you for leading the delegation, and General Dumpane, for you as well, General Sentimule, General Ntubeni, and the rest of the team. You are welcome to stay if you like, and if not, you are welcome to then leave the platform and continue with your day's work. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank
Colleagues,
you, Chair, and
thank you.
thanks to members.
Thank you,
And-
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members.
And also Honorable Skosana. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members.
There we go.
You must tell your 18 minutes to attend, please.
Honorable Koza Awa.
There we go.
It's a
Thank you,
team.
DM, and thank you to the team from SAPS and to the members. May I then ask Babawa and Nicolette to assist with flighting the relevant reports for me, for us, for the committee? Thank you, Nicolette. So first of all, we're kicking off with the PSIRA report for the financial year of 24-25, and obviously the report is dated for today. Nicolette, if possible, can we go to the recommendations? I know the honourable members have read the report. If we can go to the recommendations for us to then Thank you, Nicolette. So let's start with the committee recommending that the Ministry of Police expedite the appointment of new council members to ensure the effective functioning, stability, and governance of PSIRA. 8.2 is the committee recommends that PSIRA prioritize the establishment and strengthening of its internal audit capacity to improve financial oversight, strengthen internal controls, address recurring reporting deficiencies, and support the achievement of an unqualified audit outcome. Third is the committee recommends that PSIRA strengthen internal governance, disciplinary, and compliance mechanisms to reduce misconduct, prevent recurring policy violations, and improve adherence to organizational policies and prescripts. The committee recommends that PSIRA implement consistent and timely consequence management, measures against officials and individuals who contravene organizational policies, regulations, or legislative requirements to strengthen accountability and institutional integrity. 5 is the committee recommends that PSIRA strengthens financial management, internal control, and risk management systems to improve the detection and prevention of irregular expenditure and broader financial non-compliance. The committee recommends that PSIRA ensure appropriate accountability measures are implemented against officials responsible for irregular expenditure, financial misconduct, or failures in oversight and governance. The committee recommends that PSIRA strengthen contract management oversight and due diligence processes relating to service providers, particularly in matters involving advance payments, to reduce financial losses and safeguard the interests of beneficiaries. The committee recommends that PSIRA, in collaboration with the South African Police Service, strengthen oversight and monitoring of firearms within the private security industry, including measures aimed at improving accountability and regulatory compliance. The committee recommends that PSIRA strengthen its law enforcement and inspection capacity to improve compliance, monitoring, enforcement, actions, and oversight of non-compliant security service providers. The committee recommends that PSIRA sustain the progress achieved in key performance areas while addressing ongoing operational, governance, and regulatory challenges affecting the effectiveness of the authority. The committee recommends that PSIRA ensure strict compliance with applicable legislation, regulations, and internal policies in execution of its functions to minimize avoidable litigation and protect the financial sustainability of the organization. Thank you, Nicolette. Colleagues, that is the report regarding PSIRA. Can we move for the adoption of the report?
I move, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Kola Barnard. Honourable Schikkeling.
Thank you very much, Chair. I second the proposal. Thank you.
Honourable Dereko.
I also second, Chair.
Thank you, colleagues. The report is thus adopted. Thank you, Nicolette. The next report is the report for the Office of the DPCI Judge. We can go to the recommendations once again. Thank you, Nicolette. First, the committee recommends that the Civilian Secretariat for Police Service and National Treasury expedite the strengthening of the capacity of the DPCI judge, including the appointment of additional investigators and support personnel. The committee further recommends that the Minister of Police consider legislative amendments to strengthen the powers of the Office of the DPCI judge, including mechanisms to ensure accountability regarding the implementation of recommendations and referrals. The committee recommends that the DPCI judge continues to expand public awareness and stakeholder engagement campaigns to improve accessibility, transparency, and public confidence in the complaints mechanism. The committee recommends that the Civilian Secretariat for Police ensure that future vacancies relating to the DPCI judge are addressed timeously to avoid prolonged leadership and operational instability. Thank you, Nicolette. Colleagues, that is the report on the Office of the DPCI Judge. Can we move for the adoption?
I move, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Kola Barnard.
I second, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Dereko.
Another second, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Reverend Meshwe and Honourable Schikkeling. I assume you wanted to say the same. The report is then adopted. Thank you, Nicolette. The next one, colleagues, is the DNA Board, the National Forensic Oversight and Ethics Board. We can go straight to the recommendations. Thank you, Nicolette. The committee recommends that the Minister, in consultation with the DNA Board, submit a comprehensive turnaround strategy within 3 months, outlining measures to address DNA backlogs, improve compliance with legislated turnaround times, and strengthen forensic laboratory performance. The committee further recommends that the DNA Board strengthen its oversight and monitoring of compliance with legislated DNA turnaround times, including the implementation of a structured monitoring framework and measurable oversight indicators linked to backlog reduction, turnaround times, and interagency coordination, and provide early warning reports where persistent underperformance is identified. The committee recommends that the DNA Board, SAPS, and the Department of Correctional Services finalize and implement a standard operating procedure to ensure that all Schedule 8 offenders are sampled prior to release from correctional facilities, and strengthen oversight of interdepartmental coordination regarding the collection of management of buccal samples. The committee recommends that the DNA Board intensify public awareness campaigns, community outreach initiatives, and complaint awareness programs across all provinces to improve public understanding of the Board's mandate, complaints mechanisms, and oversight roles, and regularly assess barriers preventing members of the public from lodging complaints or accessing the Board. The committee recommends that the DNA Board develop a structured monitoring framework to track the implementation of recommendations made to the FSL and related entities, including corrective measures relating to staffing shortages, infrastructure constraints, and operational inefficiencies identified during the reporting period. The committee recommends that the DNA Board prioritize oversight of forensic backlogs relating to gender-based violence, femicide, and crimes against children, and regularly assess delays on implementation. The committee recommends, apologies for that. Sorry, thank you, Nicolette. The committee recommends that the DNA Board expand oversight engagements and site visits to forensic laboratories across all provinces, particularly facilities experiencing persistent operational infrastructure and maintenance challenges. The committee recommends that the DNA Board engage with relevant stakeholders regarding the long-term sustainability, infrastructure planning, and modernization of the forensic environment, including the operational readiness of permanent forensic laboratory facilities. Thank you, Nicolette. Colleagues, that is the report on the DNA Board. Can we move for the adoption?
I move, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Carla Barnard. Is there a second to that? Colleagues, is there a second to the adoption of the report?
I second, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Dereko. The report is thus adopted. Thank you, Nicolette. Colleagues, next on the agenda for today is the adoption of the gang violence inquiry terms of reference. I would like to ask Nicolette to take the lead on presenting this to us. I know the Honourable James, I don't want to catch you off guard, but Honourable James made really valuable input regarding the terms of reference, and with Nicolette's guidance, I would like to also afford the Honourable James a brief opportunity to maybe share some of those inputs, and we can then deliberate and discuss the terms of reference before we consider the adoption. Nicolette?
Good morning, Honourable Chair, and to each member on the platform. Thank you for the opportunity. Chair, yes, we received comments from the Honourable James. I will go through the terms of reference or the draft terms of reference, and I've highlighted where the comments from the Honourable James is in fact included in the draft. Chair and honourable members, so we have the draft or the revised draft terms of reference for the parliamentary inquiry into gang-related violence. In terms of the content of the terms of reference, we've got the background, the legal framework, the wording of the resolution, the mandate of the inquiry, the scope of the inquiry, the geographic focus of the inquiry, the methodology, public participation and transparency, venue for meetings, the time frame, reporting, resources, the committee work program, the adoption of the terms of reference, and then a conclusion. In terms of what Honourable James submitted, it's been included largely in the legal framework, where she indicated that greater emphasis should be placed on the powers of the committee or parliament to subpoena documents to be placed before the inquiry. Then also in 5.6, in terms of the scope, it was expanded. And then also in the geographic focus was quite a bit of amendment. And then also in 12.6, where Honourable James indicated that the resourcing of the committee of the inquiry be extended or expanded to make provision for the inclusion of external experts to guide the inquiry, and also the inclusion of a forensic and investigator should the need arise. Chair and honourable members, so in the background, it remains relatively unchanged. It just states what a bit of a background on gang-related violence. For instance, that gang-related violence, forms part of a broader organized criminal economies involving drug trafficking, extortion, illegal firearm trafficking, money laundering, and protection rackets, and transport-related violence. So, Chair, honourable members, I'm not going to read through the entire background. We have covered that in a previous meeting. In terms of the legal framework, I have indicated that Honourable James requested that the legal framework be expanded to include the power of summonses, which compels witnesses to produce documents or give evidence in the committee inquiry. And in the relevant section of the Powers and Privileges Act is included, and then also that it is echoed in the National Assembly Rule 167A of the National Assembly, naturally, and also Rule 361 of the rules, in terms of that, stating that people or witnesses may be subpoenaed to bring evidence. Also, Section 57 sub 1 sub A that provides that the committee may determine and control its internal arrangements, proceedings, and procedures. And again, this is echoed in Rule 167 sub F. Further states that the committee shall, where applicable, act in accordance with the Witness Protection Act of 1998 and the Protected Disclosures Act of 2000 and other relevant international best practice on the protection of persons providing evidence before public bodies. The committee acknowledges the protections afforded by the various privileges, including but not limited to legal privilege, and shall ensure that any rights thereto are upheld. Then also included here is the development of a practice prescribing the process for handling of confidential, classified, and all sensitive information in order to safeguard such information while balancing the interest of transparency, access of public to parliamentary proceedings, as provided in Section 59 of the Constitution, and facilitating committees to perform their oversight functions. As members are aware that this issue came up very prominently in the ad hoc committee in terms of the access to classified documents, should the need arise. And Section 12.2.12 caters for this if this requirement or possibility arises during the course of the inquiry. Then we have the wording of the National Assembly resolution. The resolution, honorable members, it really it focuses on several areas in the Cape Flats or larger Cape Flats area. I'm not going to read through it. However, 3.5 indicates that it really highlights the areas, namely Mufuleni, Delft, Nyanga, and Kraaifontein, Philippi East, and Kraaifontein, that is very high up in the top 10 police stations for contact crime and murder. Chain members, although this is included as a geographic focus, it really deals with murder and contact crime, while these are not necessarily the actual gang-related violence hotspots, and that will be discussed in our further section regarding the geographic focus of the inquiry. So that is really quite a revised section in the actual terms of reference of the inquiry, and it's largely based on the submission made by the Honourable James. Honourable members, then we have the mandate of the inquiry, stating that the committee is mandated to conduct a comprehensive assessment of gang-related violence in Cape Town and its impact on affected communities, review and evaluate the effectiveness of government responses, including policing, crime intelligence, investigation, and prosecution. 4.1.3, identify weaknesses, gaps, and systemic constraints in the criminal justice response to gang-related crime. Conduct public hearings to elicit community views on the drivers' impact and possible solutions to gang-related violence. 4.1.5, review the legislative and policy framework governing crime prevention and prosecution and propose amendments where necessary. Section 4.2 indicates that under the mandate, the committee will confer, when necessary, with the parliamentary committees in the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security and Safety, the JCPS, and Social Protection, Community and Human Development, SBCHD cluster departments. The committee will exercise all relevant powers available to the committee in terms of National Assembly Rule 167 to fulfill its mandate. In terms of 4.4, the committee or the resolution called for the committee to report to the House no later than the 30th of June this year, as discussed in previous meetings on the terms of reference. It was proposed that naturally the impact of the ad hoc committee really had a significant effect on the time frame of the inquiry, and then also heading into the local government elections. It is also have a big impact on the inquiry. So, honorable members, we are proposing, and I'll come to that in the time frame, that the timeline for completion will be extended quite a bit, and it is envisaged for it to end a month after the deployment of the SANDF next year, which will also allow the committee to assess the impact that the deployment of the SANDF had on crime or gang-related violence in the affected areas. The inquiry is confined to gang-related violent crime and does not constitute a general inquiry into the overall performance of national command structures of the SANDF, of the SAPS, as apologies. 4.6 states that while focused on gang-related violence in Cape Town, the inquiry may consider broader systemic, operational, governance, and intergovernmental issues where directly relevant to the committee's mandate. And lastly, the inquiry is intended to contribute towards the broader parliamentary oversight framework for addressing gang-related violence and organized criminality in affected areas across South Africa. In terms of the scope, the inquiry will be conducted across the following analytical pillars. Broadly, this will be crime dynamics and gang economies. Second, policing capacity and operational response. The third pillar, crime intelligence and investigations. It will also look at prosecution and criminal justice outcomes. It will further focus on intergovernmental coordination. And then in this, 5.6.6 is where the Honorable James indicated or requested that the role of hospitals, emergency medical services, trauma units, and healthcare institutions in responding to and identifying patterns of gang-related violence and supporting coordinated intergovernmental responses to organized crime. The next pillar would be social drivers and community impact of gang-related violence. As a following pillar, we'll have the institutional corruption and criminal infiltration of gang-related violence. We will look at state capacity governance and accountability issues as listed under 5.9. The committee or the inquiry will also look at legislative and policy frameworks and how these are implemented and the challenges associated with the practical implementation of these frameworks. Honorable members, as stated, the geographic focus is changed. We are indicated in green. It is where Honorable James made comments that additional areas should be considered. So it reads, while the inquiry will primarily focus on identified gang violence and organized crime hotspots within the city of Cape Town, the committee may include additional affected areas where necessary based on information obtained during the course of the inquiry and engagements with communities and stakeholders. In terms of 3.6.3, it was also included that the gang-related violence engagements will assist the committee in hearing directly from affected persons, communities, and relevant stakeholders on the realities and impact of gang-related violence and organized criminal activity, with the aim of ensuring that the inquiry is informed by lived experiences and practical realities on the ground, rather than consisting of purely theoretical or paper-based exercise. Honorable James also highlighted that a recent study published by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime is a very valuable resource in determining the gang-related violence hotspots across the broader city of Cape Town area, which will, and I've drawn up a visual illustration of these areas, which I will just quickly flight after this presentation. 5.6.5 states that the inquiry will not be limited to the areas identified in the National Assembly resolution, but will include identified gang violence hotspots, including Hanover Park, Manenberg, Steenberg, Muizenberg, Lavender Hill, Kensington, Factorin, Mitchell's Plain, and the West Coast Saldanha Bay corridor. We then have in section 7 the methodology. I'm just quickly going to read through it, Chair members. The methodology will include like the analysis of crime statistics, murder trends, extortion patterns, and spatial violence mapping, a review of comparable international approaches to organized gang violence and violence prevention. The parliamentary summit that will really form the basis of, or the base for public participation, will include engagements with targeted experts on gang-related violence, as well as community-based structures, such as community watches, community policing forums, youth and faith-based organization. The summit referred to in 7.3 will be facilitated by an independent external expert with a recognized experience in gangs, gang culture, and related organized criminal activity. Honorable members, just a note under 4.7, and it will also be highlighted under the resources of the committee. The external expert that was or is identified is Dr. Irvin Kenneth. He is currently a professor in criminology at UCT. He is really a very well-known expert in criminology and gang dynamics. He was also the previous content advisor for the committee, so he has a very firm understanding of the parliamentary environment and processes. So he will be a very valuable external expert to the inquiry. Further, the inquiry will include on-site visits and station inspections, including at anti-gang units, crime intelligence, regional officers, flying squad, and K9 units. We will have briefings by related JCPS and SPCHD cluster departments. We will have various briefings by state institutions supporting democracy. These are Chapter 9 institutions. For instance, the Commission for Gender Equality published a very comprehensive study on the aspects of masculinity in gang-related dynamics, which is quite a interesting paper. And also the report has been referred to the committee by the Speaker of the National Assembly. We will have briefings by provincial government, metropolitan municipality, and local municipalities, and we will have the joint meetings. And just as a conclusion in this section, 7.10 states that the committee may exercise any powers afforded to it in terms of the Constitution, applicable legislation, and the rules of the National Assembly, including the summoning of persons and the production of relevant documents and information. Section 8 of the Terms of Reference deals with public participation and transparency. So the section is based on Section 59 of the Constitution related to the obligation on the NA to facilitate involvement in its committee processes. 8.2 states that while the rules of the NA do not dictate the way in public participation must be conducted, it is of paramount importance that a reasonable opportunity is afforded to members of the public and all interested parties to be informed of its work, of the work of the committee, and have an adequate say in these proceedings. As I stated earlier, the public participation process will be undertaken through a summit format, incorporating stakeholder engagements and public hearings, including inputs from targeted experts on gang-related violence, as well as community-based structures. As I also stated earlier, the summit will be facilitated by the independent external expert mentioned and proposed that this will be Dr. Irvin Kenneth, or rather Professor Irvin Kenneth. We're stating here that the public participation will be conducted in terms of the rules of the NA and the POPIA. to ensure that personal information is handled correctly and that appropriate measures may be implemented to protect vulnerable participants, whistleblowers, victims, and community representatives where safety or intimidation concerns arise. The meetings of the committee will be held in open and broadcasted on parliamentary TV and parliamentary social media channels. And as a conclusion, where the need arises, the committee will hear submissions from persons in a closed session in accordance with the Constitution and rules of the National Assembly. Section 9 concerns the venue for meetings. Stated here is that the committee meetings, public hearings, stakeholder engagements, and related proceedings may be held physically within the parliamentary precinct or at any other suitable venue determined by the chairperson of the committee, including affected communities identified as part of the inquiry process. Section 9.2 concerns that oversight visits and community engagements may be conducted to obtain direct input from affected communities, stakeholders, and relevant institutions. Then, where necessary, and for purposes of accommodating persons unable to physically attend meetings or engagements, participants may be facilitated through virtual platforms or hybrid arrangements where appropriate. As mentioned earlier, the reporting process was supposed to be done by the end of June this year. However, due to the constraints to the parliamentary program, it is suggested that, my apologies, that the inquiry be conducted or concluded by the end of April next year, which will be a month after the end of the deployment of the SANDF. And then the committee will adopt this program framework, which is included in this document. This is just a repeat of the reporting engagements, stating that an interim report on the progress of the inquiry, including preliminary observations arising from engagements and site visits, will be tabled by end of November this year, and that the final report will be adopted at the end of April next year. Also here, the reporting timeline may be revised subject to the adoption of the resolution by the National Assembly, amending the reporting date. What I'm saying here, honorable members, is that because it is a resolution of the National Assembly, only the National Assembly can afford an extension on the time frame of the inquiry, and thus it is crucial that the committee table a resolution in the NA requesting for the extension. In terms of the resources, I've already indicated that it will be a comprehensive team supporting the inquiry, including the Parliamentary Communication Service, in terms of the Parliamentary Media Liaison. Also, the Public Education Office will provide support to facilitate public participation as part of the inquiry, We will also have the Parliamentary Protection Services Division to provide security measures during the oversight visits, as well as any engagements held in Parliament. I've stated that the inquiry, the summit, will be facilitated by an independent external expert. In terms of 12.6, I've included here the comments or submission made by the Honourable James, in that the committee will be assisted by an independent external expert with recognized experience in gang culture networks, to provide specialist support in examining matters that extend beyond the scope of traditional investigative purposes, and when necessary, the committee may further be assisted by a forensic investigator to support the examination of complex evidentiary, financial, operational, or criminal matters arising from the inquiry. And members, it's important to note here that this external expert will not be limited to Professor Kenneth, but will also include broader academic institutions. In terms of the committee work program, phase 1 is what we are currently busy with, establishment and planning of the inquiry. Phase 2 will be site visits, and it will be done in June this year. Just give a brief explanation of what this will be. Phase 3 will be public participation, and it is planned for August this year. Moving on to phase 4, it will be joint sectoral engagements scheduled for August and September this year. And then the reporting will be, and this naturally will extend up until the end of the lifespan of the inquiry. The last phase will be the reporting, as that it will be at the end of November as an interim report, and then the final report at the end of April next year. We will include here whether the date of the adoption of the terms of reference, and just a short conclusion. Chair, honourable members, if I can quickly just show the visual illustration of the geographic priority or hotspots, I will appreciate that. May I continue?
You're more than welcome, Nicolette. Please do.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was a rhetorical question.
I'm sorry, Chair. So, members, here we have the proposed area or mapping where the focus of the committee will be, and just to state from the start that this is largely based on the research done by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. It was like the Western Cape Gang Monitor of March this year. It really provides valuable insight into gang-related violence hotspots. So what we have here is the legends and corresponding why these areas matter. So first we have the Menenberg area because it's the territorial expansion by the fancy boys, youth recruitment or so-called klipgooiers, fragmented landscape, and that's important due to the high levels of violence, fragmentation, and leadership battles. Secondly, we are focusing, or it's proposed that we focus on the Hanover Park area. It is important as these are links to organized crime, firearm and drug trafficking. And as stated here, it will be based on the factional splits, the Laughing Boys leadership struggle, and the Ghetto Kids and OTF control. Thirdly, we'll have the Steenberg, Muizenberg, and Lavender Hills area, and that is largely because of the impact on communities, youth, and social stability. So the Steenberg, Muizenberg, and Lavender Hill area included here is the funky kids or JFK leadership conflict, high number of gang-related murders linked to internal infighting. The fourth area here will be in the Kensington, Factorton, and Mitchell's Plain area, which is highlighted as so-called floor crossings, defections, driving retaliatory violence, like for instance the Americans versus the Nice Time Kids. Then we will also focus on the West Coast corridor, and that's important for the expansion of gangs beyond the Cape Flats and into strategic economic corridors. So we just have here a quick visual representation of this corridor, including Witteklip, Louisville, Vredenburg, Deersville, and Saldanha Bay Harbor, focusing on these relative aspects. So members, this is really just to show or propose the hotspots that will be considered, and it is also an illustration of why external independent specialist research institutions are crucial to be included and come on board with the during the gang violence inquiry. Thank you, Chair. This is it from me. I'll share the terms of reference again if members want to make comments on it. So yeah, Chair, I submit.
Thank you, Nicolette. Thank you for your hard work and effort that has gone into this. I see the hands of the Honourable Kola Barnard and the Honourable Schikkerling. Honourable Kola Barnard.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to Nicolette for a wonderful presentation. Just something I wondered if it could be expanded is looking into the abilities of crime intelligence in the area. I've so often seen SAPS members drive straight into a riot situation, difficult situations, and literally had to shoot their way out because crime intelligence weren't up to speed and didn't give them sufficient warning. We have mass murders going on in all over this area that Nicolette's highlighted, and we're a crime intelligence. So I think it's an issue, considering the levels of expertise of SAPS members generally in Cape Town and the Western Cape. I think it's something that should be looked into quite closely and quite carefully in terms of the expertise and the numbers available in terms of crime intelligence. Thank you so much, Chair. Oh, and I'm delighted to hear Dr. Kinnis is the one being targeted. He's exactly the name I was going to actually propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Barnard. Honourable Schikkerling.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to Nicolette for the very well thought out and presented report. Chair, I would just like to, I've looked at the area that we've said that we're going to target, but I think we should include more rural police stations to or gang areas like Worcester, Paul East, Kayamandi and Klapmuts. And then, Chair, there's a massive problem in Cluttersville. I mean, every weekend there's gang-related shootings there. So I think we have to include that into our investigation going forward. We know that those areas, especially Kayamandi, we saw this weekend that there was a mass shooting. So I think it's important for us to perhaps just extend the areas that we are going to be looking at. And then, Chair, I want to agree with Honourable Barnard about crime intelligence, but in line with that too, I think we should investigate the actual usage of the SAPS of specialized units like the TRT, the NIU, and even the STF in combating gang violence, Chair, because we see that the SANDF has been deployed, but honestly, as I said last week, Operation Prosper is not prospering. We can see that there's been a massive increase, a 50% increase, in fact, in gang-related activities and murders. So it doesn't look like the SANDF currently is being effective. So I would just like to know, are we using these specialized units? Are they being utilized? If they're not being utilized, why do we actually have them in the police? Then these units can we might as well get rid of them, and we can use that funding for something much better. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkerling. Any of the other members that want to make a comment? Colleagues, I think that is the crux of the terms of reference for the gang violence inquiry. Honourable Schikkerling, I see your hand is up. I just want to double check. Is it a legacy hand? Okay.
Sorry, Chair, my apologies. I couldn't get off mute. Something that I did want to add, Chair, is that I do agree that we extend this to the 1st of May 2027 in line with the SANDF deployment, because obviously this is a big problem that's been taking place over a number of years, and I don't think that if we only give it our attention for a month or 2 or 3, we will be doing justice to the crime-ridden areas and the families that have lost their family members due to gang violence. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkerling. Colleagues, can we then move for adoption with the proposed amendments? Let me just note them quickly. It's regarding the use of crime intelligence, specialized units like TRT, SDF, NIU, etc. And obviously that would include visiting those bases. Then some of the broader rural areas that have really come under fire quite a bit. Honourable James, I'm going to come to you now. I have noted your hand. Yeah, unless I've missed something, but I think those additions, I know Nicolette has listed them, are important. Honourable James, your hand is up.
No, Chair, I'd just like to move for the adoption.
Thank you, Honourable James. Colleagues, with that, Honourable James moving for the adoption. Can I have a second to that? Honourable Schikkerling.
Thank you very much, Chair. I second the proposal.
Thank you. The gang inquiry terms of reference are then adopted. Thank you, Nicolette, for all your effort with that. Colleagues, Sure, I didn't expect us to go through today's deliberations so quickly. This committee is becoming extremely efficient with time management. So thank you for everyone's input today. Honourable James, thank you for your detailed additions and input to the terms of reference as well. It adds a lot of value, and to all of the other members who also commented on it. With that, if there's nothing further, I am going to close the meeting. Thank you to everyone. See you soon. The meeting is closed.
Good, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hello.